Hello, everybody. So, today, what we're going to be doing is, and since I couldn't have this as a class wide discussion with you in person, I think what we'll do is have you guys individually, through this Ed Puzzle system, answer these questions for yourself first, so that when we do come back together and I'm able to be in class, we can talk about these ideas as a class. And I think you'll be better prepared. So, I think it'll work out in the end. Um, And this is the first conversation I want to have with you guys. I was going to do a silly other little conversation. We'll get there when I get back, because that'll be fun. But our first serious conversation needs to kind of be is foundational before we can even get to kind of the big stuff, the big theories about morality. And that's these meta ethical questions. And that's a fancy word for questions about ethics itself, not about theories underneath the umbrella, but what even is ethics? How do we even get them? Is there even such a thing as good or bad? Um, so that's that kind of foundational questions. They're philosophical questions about ethics itself that I think we need to solidify for ourselves before we move forward and even argue about moral theories. Okay. And the two subtitles here you see here, moral realism and moral relativity. We'll get to that in a minute, but those are kind of the big schools of thought that most people tend to fall into. There's a third we'll talk about also, but that's kind of where we're going to be having our own debate within ourselves and with each other about the meta-ethical position about morality. So before I define those things, I want to just have you guys tell me in the little text box in multiple full sentences. I want to have full thoughts from you guys about some of these meta-ethical questions about where morality comes from. What is it? Um, from where you come from right now. What are your thoughts about that? So let's get started. All right. So again, please make sure you're telling me in full sentences, multiple sentences, or even better, answering these questions for yourself. Don't feel rushed. Think about them and type them in the text box. You've got all period to do this. All right, here we go. Here's the first question. In your opinion, is morality something we invent? Like, is it just made up? Or is it something we discover? Something that just is out there and we find it? Now, if it's discovered, how is it discovered? Through our senses, our conscience, instincts, or what? If you answered discovered, answer that one. If you answered invented, answer this one. If it's invented, what's its function then? If it's just made up stuff. What does it mean to value something? Why is it we value things? What does value even mean? Where does that come from? And how about this one? How do we develop an idea that there is a difference between how the world should be as opposed to how it is? How did that come about? I mean, we do it all the time. Where does that come from? How does that happen? Do you think we could live without morality? Why or why not? What would you have to remove from the world for right and wrong to no longer exist, if anything? Or would it always exist? What even is morality? In your opinion, define it. What is morality? Do you think there is such a thing as good or bad objectively? And what that means is true outside of your opinion. Like there is good in the world, even if all humans were gone and nobody had an opinion. Is there such a thing as a moral fact that that is good or that is bad? Or is it all just relative to a society that made it up or time? It's dependent on the time or dependent on the culture? Are they just kind of traditions or habits or just arbitrary made up rules and there's no really such thing as a moral fact? What do you think? Well, thinking about the answers that you just put in there, you probably fit into one of these three categories. Either moral nihilism, you think no, there are no such thing as moral facts, it's all made up. Or you're a moral realist, where you do think there are moral facts about right and wrong, and that they are just as real as facts about what you had for dinner last night, right? Those are, you could put a T next to it, like it is true that killing is wrong, let's say, as an example. And that's not an opinion. And then there's moral relativism, where yes, there are moral facts about right and wrong, but they're just facts about the standards relative to a culture. It's just a fact about this culture thinks that. Just like it would be a fact, like it's an opinion that purple is the best color, but it might be a fact that, let's say, Linda thinks purple is the best color. All right. That would be all that it is. So think about, where do you think you kind of hit towards from your answers, from what you know so far? So what we're going to do, guys, tomorrow is I'm going to have you all do another ed puzzle on a small lecture on this stuff: moral nihilism, moral realism, moral relativism, to kind of understand the basics about these positions a little bit more. And then what we're going to do is we're going to be looking at reading together, learning how to annotate together, and having a debate about this tension between, about, are there any moral facts about right and wrong, and look at the arguments for and against all of these, about these positions. We'll talk about moral nihilism being kind of one of the weakest ones and even self-refuting, but the other two, there's some argument there. Okay. And that's going to help us kind of get started and give us a lens about how we're going to move forward with how we kind of answer the theorists and the theories throughout the year about morality. Okay. So a little taste into like where you are. Are you a moral nihilist, realist, or relativist? And then we're going to kind of see, is that really the position I want to hold, by looking at arguments to see if that actually makes sense? Or maybe we need to move our position a little bit. Okay. I hope you have a great day, and I can't wait to read your answers and get to know you a little bit, and see you soon. Bye-bye.